We can start dating someone and things start off great. They're showing interest, they're taking initiative, it starts really strong. And then as you start to spend more time with a guy and you start being more intimate, you feel his energy towards you start to drop off. And you have no idea why. Where has this 180 come from? Or perhaps you haven't gotten this far yet. There's a guy you are interested in and you're kind of talking to him and he's giving you something back, but maybe not enough for things to progress further. Whether it's either of these scenarios, usually when we get mixed signals from someone, it's usually a sign that they're just not that into us. And there are some major reasons why a guy may lose interest in a woman that he will never admit to her. And even if it did start out strong, this can still sometimes happen. And so we're going to go through the common, most major reasons why a guy just may not be that into you. The first reason, and the most obvious one, is that he's just not that physically attracted to you. A lot of the time, men can and do have sex with women that they don't actually find that attractive. Because to him, it's just sex. It's not a choice in you, it's an indulgence for him. When men are just looking for sex, their standards are much different compared to when they're looking for a relationship. And for a lot of men, they will have sex with a girl because she provides easy sexual access, with little to no effort or requirement on his part. A guy who's, say, an 8 will happily have sex with a girl who's a 6 because she says, yeah, sure, I'll come over, no problem. Without having to go on a date, without having to spend much time together, nothing. Yet from her perspective, it makes sense to do this because in her eyes, he's an absolute find. Maybe he's one of the hottest guys that she's ever been intimate with. And so with that, she jumps at the opportunity to spend whatever time with him, even if it's only ever on a sexual basis. We talk about women being hypergamous all the time. And if you don't know what hypergamy means, essentially a woman wants to choose a man who is at least on her financial and economic status level or above. Ideally, they will choose above. So if she drives and owns her own car, she wants to choose a guy who also drives and owns his own car. If she owns her own house, she wants a guy who also owns his own house, maybe even 2. If she lives a certain lifestyle, she also wants a man who does live the same level of lifestyle or above that he can raise her to. So yes, while it is true that women are hypergamous, men are also hypergamous, but in a different way. Men are hypergamous when it comes to physical attractiveness. So men will want to choose a woman who's at least his level of attractiveness, ideally more attractive than him. Women want men who are more successful than them, and men want women who are more attractive than him. And we see this play out all the time. We see these male superstars, these athletes, these professionals, these superstar artists, and they will be with a girl that nobody's ever heard of. No one knows who she is because her level of success is nowhere near to his. But she's drop dead gorgeous. She's more physically attractive than he is. Now, how often do we see a successful, gorgeous woman choosing to be with the guy who works at Starbucks down the road because he has a good jawline? That doesn't happen. So with all that being said, how do you know if this is the case for your situation? You're not arrogant, but you look at the guy that you're involved with and you're like, no, yeah, we're about the same level. You'd say you're both equally as attractive as each other. Well, to know for sure, you need to ask yourself these 3 questions. 1, do you jump at the chance to see him whenever he's available? 2, are you happy keeping things on a sexual basis? I.e., he's not looking for anything serious and you're happy to still spend time with him. And 3, is he in the top handful of most attractive men that you've ever slept with? Now, I say this with love, but if you answer yes to all 3 of these questions, then there's a high chance that in regards to attraction and chemistry, his attraction to you isn't as high as it needs to be for it to work. And I want to be very clear, we are not talking about value. We are purely talking about physical attraction. Because if we were honest with ourselves, if he wasn't so attractive to you, you wouldn't be willing to accept 0 to little investment and effort on his part. So much so that you would still be willing to invest your energy, your time, and your body with him. One example we can easily see in our day-to-day, and it's not nice to point this out, but it does happen, of this hypergamous nature in a man, is when you have an average-looking couple of a guy and girl, but the man starts working on his physique and on his grooming. He gets into amazing shape, he corrects his eating diets, his hair is on point, his facial hair is also on point, but his girlfriend isn't choosing to level up in her appearance the way that he is. The outcome? He ends up leaving her. And it's not nice to say, but it's usually for an attractive girl that he couldn't attract up until now. Of course, there are exceptions to every rule, but I'd be lying if I said that I haven't seen this play out more than once. Now, this doesn't mean that just because a guy is maybe objectively more attractive than a woman that she could never get him, but it does mean that she'd be having to work and put a lot more effort in bringing value outside of sex that's going to make him want to give his commitment to her. But that's another video for another day. Next reason why a guy may not be into you is that he finds you exciting but not peaceful. This isn't saying that you have to be exciting and you have to be peaceful all the time, but a relationship means security, stability, and consistency. And while some of us enjoy going to festivals a few weeks of the year, having an explosive, amazing time, we couldn't be doing that every single day. When it comes to fiery passion and in-the-moment thrills, the exciting, explosive girl is the one that men love to choose. But when a man is in the frame of mind for a relationship, his attraction becomes really strong for the warm, kind girl who wants to provide a space of serenity for him. This kind of environment is absolutely invaluable to a man because it recharges him spiritually. They say heart is where the home is, and home is where we feel safe, where we feel comforted, and when we do go to recharge. So a woman who incorporates that is definitely going to be a woman that he wants to give his future to. Next reason he may not be that into you is you had casual sex with one of his friends. There are 2 amendments of the Bro Code Constitution when it comes to women. Number 1, you never sleep casually with a friend's ex. Number 2, you only ever go for a friend's ex if you think she's the one. And even then, you need to talk to your guy friend to make sure you get his blessing before you cross a certain boundary. Guys know that when they're sleeping casually with a girl, she's not getting his full investment from him. And he doesn't want to give it because, for whatever reason, he doesn't feel that that level of commitment is worth it. I know this can be really hard to hear, but I'm just telling you the truth. This is how men operate. So in a way, not giving her the appropriate level of investment means he doesn't really respect her that much. He may respect her as a human being as a whole, of course, but he doesn't respect her as a potential romantic partner. So a man just being casual with one of his friend's ex, that's him seeing her as a low value option. And so inadvertently disrespecting his friend because his friend chose to give her full commitment and full value, full investment at one point. I'm going to use this really crude analogy to try and emphasize this point. Amongst men, a guy casually sleeping with a friend's ex is like a guy buying a new car and his friend hisses on it. It's like you could choose to have relieved yourself anywhere, but you chose to do it on something that you know I had a lot of investment in and a lot of value in. That level of disrespect amongst men is exactly the same. I'll be brutally honest with you. It's happened before when me and a close guy friend of mine, we ended up hooking up with the same girl. Not the same time, but it did happen. And the moment we both knew that we had both hooked up with her respectively, the moment we both found out that was the case, we both knew instantly that the chance of either of us taking her seriously long term was slim to none. Like I said, I'm just being brutally honest and transparent about how men think. Is it fair? Maybe, maybe not. But it plays a huge part in him seeing potential with a woman. They might be thinking, okay, but why am I explaining that side of things? Because in this point, you're not an ex of one of his friends. It was just a past casual fling, right? It was chilled, it wasn't serious, it didn't mean anything. Well, the reason I'm telling you is because it works the same in reverse. If a man gives his full investment to a girl who was just a casual option to one of his friends previously, he feels he is disrespecting himself. It hurts a man's pride. The truth is, no guy wants to be at his wedding day where there's another man there who has casually been inside his new bride-to-be. A guy is more likely to be taking you seriously if you were a proper ex-girlfriend of one of his friends. Because bro code demands that he wouldn't be seriously entertaining it unless he truly saw you as his potential one. Next reason he may not be that into you is he has feelings for someone else. He may be growing feelings for someone else, or is in the process of moving on from someone else. Now, if he is growing feelings elsewhere, then there's nothing really a woman can do at this point, because that's out of your control and there's no influence you can have on that. But then if he's in the process of moving on, why can't he just start building that emotional aspect with you? You may think, oh, well, the more time he spends with me, then the more he'll naturally start to fall for me regardless of how he feels with someone else. I want you to try and think of it this way. How he treats his emotional intimacy is how you as a woman treat your physical intimacy. You could easily be friends with a handful of different guys, where you share emotional things with them, they share emotional things with you. You can confide things in each other, you ask each other for your opinions. You can give and receive, receive a lot of emotional investment from male friends. But when it comes to giving your physical intimacy and sharing your body, you only really choose to do that with one person, or at least one person at a time. And if you're in a situation where maybe you are sleeping with a guy, but it's not really that serious, but then another guy comes into the scene who you do like and you want to start being intimate with him, you likely stop sleeping with the first guy. Though you may very much still accept the attention and the emotionality that he may choose to give you, even though you're not sleeping together anymore. You may still accept that. But for men, it's the complete opposite. While it is very much the case that men can spread themselves sexually, when it comes to emotional intimacy, it's very much something he can only really have for one person at a time. And this isn't necessarily a reflection on you. This doesn't mean that you don't have great qualities or that you're not investing in the right ways and in the right areas for this relationship to work. But the truth is, it's difficult for him to see those qualities in you, to truly appreciate and value them, because his emotional eyes are still looking in a certain direction. And even though they're in the process of releasing the direction they're looking in, they can't look in your direction until the gaze has been released. Because after all, we can't look two ways at once. So if you're ready to attract the kind of man you want that fulfilling relationship with, then make sure you enroll in my Claim Your Man program below, where I show you how to do just that. Thanks for tuning in. And as always, keep it slick.